Okay, guys, welcome back to another episode of Experiences with Experity. Again, this is a new one coming in from you guys, so thank you for sending these in. We are loving hearing your stories. And this one comes in from one of our viewers that watched our second episode and said that they really, really wanted to get involved. So I'm going to read the story. The girls going to we're going to give our thoughts, and yeah, story reads. So I recently had to go into my local bank branch in person, sorry. One of the last ones still open on our high street, mind you, because I needed to sort out transferring my ISA and I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. I tried doing it online, but the website made no sense and I got stuck in some endless loops of security codes and forgotten passwords. We've all been there. Anyway, I walked in expecting a long queue and some huffing and puffing kind of service, you know, the usual. But instead, I was greeted by a lovely woman on the front desk. She smiled, asked what I needed help with, and actually took time to listen rather than just pointing me to a screen or handing me a leaflet. She didn't rush me, she didn't use any jargon, and most importantly, she never once made me feel like I was being daft, even when I was asking her to explain something twice. She walked me through the process, offered a few tips that I hadn't even thought of, and sorted the whole thing for me there and then. But here's the bit that really stood out. Right before I left, she handed me a printed checklist of things to look out for when comparing ISA rates. I hadn't even asked for it though. And I wrote her name on and had written her name on the back in case I had more questions to ask so I could call later. Honestly, I walked out there thinking, why can't every service be like that? And I was in and out, sorry, in under 30 minutes. No stress, and I felt like an actual human being, not an account number. Girls, how
Yes,
wholesome does that
yes,
sound?
yes, yes.
Exactly that. This is exactly what we love to hear. Melissa, what are our thoughts?
Just, yeah, like I think there's been so many points throughout there where they've done the right thing. And I think
Mhm.
it just goes to show that being listened to and like truly listening to your customers and understanding what they want and how you can offer a better service to them is so valuable. And it's not about the big things. It's not about giving them like lots of money or investing loads of money into it. It's those small things that make such a big difference, and like truly listening. Just yeah, 100% amazing service.
We love that, don't we? Abby?
Yeah,
Definitely.
it was really refreshing to hear a positive experience about a bank because there is some really naff processes going around at the moment where banks are shutting down branches.
Yeah,
Like they said, there's so many that are closing down, the high streets becoming empty, and it's still really confusing about how to navigate online banking. And for a specific generation, online banking isn't accessible to them.
yeah,
My nan doesn't even have Wi-Fi, let alone the ability to do any form of online banking. Like there's a huge um conversation with banks and in the financial services industry about making money more accessible and making banking more accessible, but actually the experiences a lot of customers are having is a very inaccessible one.
yeah,
So
yeah,
hearing this story was really quite refreshing because um, even somebody like me who has had a part of my life where I could go into a branch and pretty much do anything in a branch to now, being forced to be completely digital and completely online savvy, I probably am in a camp where a lot of people do feel that they can maybe navigate the majority of stuff through their online banking app. But I know a world where I could go into a branch and speak to a human, and I would always prefer that option if we weren't forced into online. No matter how tech savvy I am in other aspects of my life, dealing with money is such a stressful,
yeah,
anxiety provoking situation for so many people that we almost don't trust ourselves sometimes to know, to click the right button, to know what to do. So the banks provided that really personal experience. The branches gave you that ability to feel like a human. I really loved that bit at the end. I felt like a human, not
yeah.
an account number. And that rings true to feeling like we're not just one of millions of people that are banking there.
Yeah.
So I think it's really nice. The touches, I really like it when I go somewhere and and the server or the customer service rep or the whoever leaves their name, because I can go, oh, I spoke to so and so last time, can I speak to them? I've built up a rapport, I've built up a relationship. But also, if I have the opportunity to recognize the experience and give feedback, I'm going to use their name because I know who I spoke to, and I want to give that person credit if I did have a really good experience, like it sounds like this person did. So yeah, there's a lot right with this. Not rushing people as well,
Yeah.
I think
Big thing.
is a crucial part, and helping to educate, because again, money moves and changes all the time. You've got interest rates, you've got ISAs, you've got different savings accounts, you've got all of this other jargon to navigate, regardless of how old you are.
Yeah.
And it's a scary world. So the fact that they're not being rushed and they're getting education about what the right thing to do is, and a lot of that potentially being unbiased as well, because they're trying to do right by their customers, I think is a really nice touch.
Makes the world of a difference, doesn't it? Also, not being rushed. I think the thing that stood out to me was the printed checklist of things to look out for when comparing ISA rates. That's like beyond what you've even asked for, isn't it, really, when this person's gone in. Um, I also really enjoy learning people's names, and often will actually just read their name tag and refer to them by a first name basis if it's okay with them. And I think it just helps you, like you're it's a one-to-one conversation as it is in moments like this, but you're like on the same level, aren't you, almost, then once you're using names.
Yeah.
No, such a lovely experience to hear from someone. When it comes to money, like you guys have already touched on, it's quite a sensitive thing. It's very personal as well. It's very you feel quite vulnerable sometimes. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely
Yeah.
do. And I felt almost this switch also when I moved here to Switzerland is I had to learn so many things and how to do so many things in a different way here. But just by putting myself out there and going, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I had another barrier here, which was language, a language barrier. But being able to ask, can you speak English in Swiss German, helped me jump past a couple hurdles. And people are like, okay, right, we already know that she doesn't. So I was made to feel quite comfortable just by, being able to help myself a little bit there by saying, it's not my first language. Is there any
uh,
chance you can help?
I'm curious to know, what is like the culture like with banking and stuff in Switzerland? Is it same as UK? Like, how does it differ?
It's very different. And the reason it's different is because everyone here manages their money very differently. And there's still banks, don't get me wrong, but there's predominantly only two banks really here. Um, and they've got the experience down to a T, before you even go through into the main office, there's sort of like two areas where you can go. You grab a ticket, you get like a ticket. There's a big ticketing system here. Even if there's no queue in front of you, you're grabbing a ticket to say, I'm ready, I'm here. You have to jot in like your issue or what you're there for. You get a ticket. So before you even got to the desk, they know what you're there for.
Mm.
Yeah.
So they're like, I mean, we can touch on this in another episode potentially, but I feel like they're 10 steps ahead here. They're already asking you for the information before you come to the desk. But yeah, the language barrier for me was a little bit tricky, but being able to just ask, is it okay if we speak in English? Really helped. And people are really kind here. But yeah, very, very different to the UK, I would say, in many, many ways. But the banking system in particular, yeah. Luckily, I don't have to deal too much with it. So I just have to do what I need to do and then walk out. So kind of
Yeah,
like
I
what I
I
do.
feel.
definitely,
Sorry, Abby,
sorry,
you go.
I definitely feel we should do an episode comparing Swiss experiences to UK experiences. I feel like that
We
would be
should.
really insightful, because living in the UK, we only have one concept of experience. And if we go abroad, say as a tourist, we have a very different experience, but it's very curated, very
Yeah.
tailored and very specific. But living abroad, you must have really interesting perspectives on that. So I'd love to do an episode where we talk about that, because I think that would be quite cool.
It's funny, I've already taken a sneak peek at the next couple of episodes or the next couple of stories, and they're supermarket related. And I've got some really interesting stories on Swiss supermarkets here. But yeah, we can definitely do that. Any final thoughts on this really lovely one before we kind of round off, Melissa? Anything from you?
I think mine would kind of almost be taking a step back from the actual specific experience, which has been touched on, which is the fact that I feel like in the UK particularly, it's a good example with banks of where technology has almost become too much of a thing, and like a lot of the experience is now online, which is great, and in many ways it actually makes things a lot easier. Like the other day we got a check, and for me, not having to go into the store and being able to pay the check in on my app is amazing. But I think it's going back to that subject, isn't it, of where is the right place for tech, and having the in-person things as well is really, really important. And I think that's what this experience highlighted for me almost, is it's not just about having that in-person experience, it's finding the balance, that really, really fine line between tech, AI and online and in person, and that personality. And I think it's that whole circle of finding that balance is really important.
Absolutely agree. I think it has to be hybrid, doesn't it? It has to be a little bit of both.
Yeah.
If that's all, I'm gonna bid everyone a farewell, and we're gonna see you on the next episode, ladies. If there's nothing else from you guys, we will see you on the next one, Experiences with Experity. See you guys later.
See you soon.
Bye.